In the alarm workflow widget, there'll be a list of alarms. Then as an operator, you can adopt one of those alarms and it will disappear from the queue, and you'll be that owns that alarm. Of course, everything can be color coded. In our audit trail, I think our audit trail is the most detailed in the industry. It's very easy to go in and run reports on different information. One of the reasons I think it's the best is it will show you by field what the original data was and what it's been updated to. So if anyone changes anything, you know what it was and what it's been changed to, and you also know who did it. So it's absolute tracking of all the changes made in the database on the system. It's a fantastic feature. It's a standard feature. We do not turn it on in the small systems because it uses a lot of processing power, but you can request that it gets turned on. There's no charge for that feature. Another thing I mentioned is we do a lot of these legacy retrofits, and we do so many of them. We have a card format decoder built into the product. So what you're looking at here, this is a screen of the card format decoder, and you can connect a reader to your demo system, you can swipe a few cards, and it will show you what the format is. In fact, all of our systems are shipped with a number of standard card formats already programmed into them. So if you're doing a refit on a software house or Linnell or Honeywell or Cassie Rusco, we already know those formats and make it easy for you to adopt them.
So what is the maximum bits
I think it's like 200 today. It's huge. Yeah. I don't remember the exact value. It's big. So the question was, what is the maximum number of bits that you can have? And I think we lost it. The question was, what is the maximum number of bits that you can have? And I think it's 200 today. It's a huge number. Also, for every device you connect to the system, there is an individual screen and an individual setup. So if you look on this screen, it shows you an access blade and a temperature blade from an S2 node. But if you look at this, this shows you a Mercury EP1502, right? That is, I think that's the LNL 2220, is that right? It's either that or the 3300. So you can click on each of the reader input and output points and it will let you define it that way. So if you come up to do a retrofit, or even if you can buy Mercury from us and install it new, then you get these screens, and it makes it really easy to just come up with your tablet or your laptop, configure the device, and move on to the next one. At the end, when you're done configuring all the devices, you can go in and hit a button to run an as-built report, and it allows you to then store that report with all of the other system documentation. So we're the only manufacturer I know that offers this kind of capability. And look, this is a feature we put in just for system integrators. End users never see this, right? But whether you're using S2 nodes or Mercury or Honeywell or Cassie Rusco, any of those, you get these kinds of graphics that help you manage these system devices. So what's nice about that, if someone's having trouble setting up a device, they can pull this up in here, and if the device looks the same as the one they're looking at in the box on the wall, they know they have the right model. So it's all very visual, excuse me. We also do database partitioning, right? So database partitioning is where you can have one controller, one server, and then you can divide it up into different subsystems that are completely separate, right? So in this case, we've taken an enterprise system and we've separated it into 5 different local systems. And you might do that at some government offices or a university, something like that. And we did one of these. There's a company we work with called Emerson, which is a big electrical company. Not Emerson that makes microwaves. There's another Emerson that makes like power plants.
Power.
Yeah. In fact, all of the S2 nodes have Emerson power supplies in them. So a number of years ago, we did a case for them where they wanted their Manila office in the Philippines to be their regional office. And then we're using a third-party VMS, and so we put all that together in the Philippines, and then they wanted to branch out around Southeast Asia, and so we put a partitioned enterprise system for them, and we dropped local nodes in their offices around the area. Yes, sir.
And correct me, make sure I understand. So each of the offices can see their own, but they can't access or see the others?
That's right. So the question is, can each office see their own site but not the others? And that's exactly how this works, it's now as if we have 4 separate systems. So they only see their own doors and their own alarms, and their own people. They don't see anybody else.
Video.
And video, yes, exactly.
Oh, nice way to set it, if you have several clients, partition them.
I was just going to say that. We have a number of integrators that buy an enterprise system, and then they partition it. They sell hardware to a range of clients, and then they sell that back as a monthly service to manage it all for them. So we call it managed systems, and we have integrators in Europe and in North America that have thousands of customers that way. And they can charge anywhere from $50 to $100 per reader per month to manage it after they've sold the equipment. It's a business model that does not work for all integrators, but if integrators have the administrative capacity to do it, I think it's a great business model and offers great differentiation. So it gives the customer kind of a cloud experience without having to go to a commercial software as a service because they own the equipment. And if later on they want to manage it individually, you can just go out and sell them a controller and they can manage it themselves. So, and then of course, we also added the NetVRs onto this later on. So that's one example. We also do a great deal of this third-party integration, as I've been talking about. So in this case, what you're seeing is the S2 Open Platform is being used with a variety of third-party capabilities. So this is Mercury hardware, so we can take over Linnell or any of the other 18 variants of Linnell that are out there using Mercury today. We have intrusion integration, we have third-party VMS. I don't show it here, but there's a lot of software integrations as well. I think today we integrate with either 8 or 10 different visitor management systems. It's very easy to write your own interface to time and attendance. I mentioned before we do a lot with elevators and lift integration, and the list really goes on and on. So here's an example of a range of different third-party hardware we can connect to. So there's a lot of Honeywell installed in Southeast Asia and India and a little bit in China. And Honeywell, as we saw in the slides earlier, is looking to exit the security, the big integrated system security business. They want to stay in the small business. So they're not doing a very good job of taking care of Honeywell ProWash customers. We have a big one here in Singapore now called Development Bank of Singapore that we've had for 3 or 4 years. And we're slowly moving them off of Honeywell and onto S2. Now, we can connect directly to the Honeywell 6,000 units. If they have 5,000 units, we just put a Mercury panel in there and it will talk to that 5,000 unit directly. Here you see we're connected to, this will be a Linnell 1320, this would be a Linnell 1300, and the 16N and 16N as well. There's a range of wireless locks that we integrate with, and there's more being done on that now. So we accommodate this large range of third-party integration. Oh, I forgot to mention the Casio Rusco. We do a lot of Casio Rusco replacements. The Casio Rusco brand is actually completely obsolete. Linnell closed down Casio Rusco development and service office in 2012 after they bought the GE business in 2010. So there's a lot of Casio Rusco customers out there that are basically orphans, right? They have no reasonable way forward. And so we at S2 are helping replace a lot of those. We'll talk a little bit more about how. So with Mercury, I know that most of you are pretty familiar with Mercury from working with Linnell for many years. In fact, I remember way back in the day, coming here in like 2000, setting up the Linnell partnership with ASG. But it's a big part of our strategy. It doesn't replace S2 network nodes and blades in our product line. We still sell a lot more of the S2 nodes than Mercury, but Mercury is a great partner, and we do sell the full line of Mercury hardware. A lot of customers will use both Mercury and S2 on the same system. So that's an important element here, is when I show you this screen back here, a couple of slides back. Hold on.
So, Todd, what you're saying here is that they will work, the hardware will work seamlessly in a system,
That's
but
right.
they will not replace, they are not a replacement hardware for any.
No, we use both, right? So this diagram that we see, this shows a single S2 controller, and it's running all of this different hardware side by side. So this is a true representation. You can run all of these different types of hardware under the same S2 system, right? So we make Mercury hardware available because it's popular. A lot of people know how to use it. And we're happy to sell you the Mercury hardware or the S2 hardware. Whatever you prefer to buy is fine. But the Mercury does not replace our hardware. There's active development on our hardware ongoing. Our hardware, our nodes are very important for the strategy for high availability and disaster recovery, because they do things that Mercury does not. Also, we do things in our nodes Mercury does not, like we do temperature monitoring, which Mercury does
So
not do.
when you put it in this diagram, then you can have the ProWatch system within the same S2 network.
Yes.
Basically, if we go into a ProWatch system out in the market, the customer wants to change ProWatch out, what would we do to take over the system?
We'll talk about how to take over Honeywell systems just a little bit later.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to, right here, I'm trying to give the scope of what we do, and then we're going to drill down into each one individually.
Sure.
Right, so that's a great question, and I want to cover that with you. So the first thing with Mercury is I think when we did the Mercury integration in 2010, it really solidified S2 as an open platform, much more than other manufacturers that are out there, because we sell multiple lines of security hardware, and we integrate with many more lines of security hardware. So it really is the closest you come to an access control open platform today. There are over 25,000 systems in the marketplace today using Mercury panels. And when you go in and do a replacement, when you do a migration from Linnell to S2, the customer saves about 80% of their investment, right? So that makes it much easier to design and sell these systems, knowing that. And look, I know you guys carry Linnell, and I'm glad you do. And keep care of your Linnell customers. Let's go out and take away Linnell customers from the other players, right? So who are the other Linnell dealers in Singapore? You got ICD.
Tyco is still.
Well, but Tyco doesn't
Oh,
carry. Yeah. Do you have Chubb here? Do you have UTC Chubb? Okay.
Chubb.
Let's go out and take all those customers away from Chubb. Right. So there's a lot of Linnell systems to go after that do not affect your own business and can in fact expand your business. Right. And then if you have Linnell customers that are unhappy, as many of them are that we talk to, we have a solution for them as well. All right. So it's the same kind of architecture where you have the S2 Enterprise. It talks directly to the LNL 2220 or 3300. You've got the reader module, the 1320 or the 1300, and then the card reader. And that's why you can save the customer so much money, right? They have all this hardware already out there. We just take the Linnell client server software out and we put ours in. We have migration tools that allow you to migrate the database of the cardholders, right, of the people. So you get the card record, you get the image, you get all of that. And then our professional services team is actually able to migrate what we call the object database, which is the configuration database, about 90%. Right, we're not always able to get it all because the database structures are different. But we can do that for both Linnell and for Kazurosco, and for Honeywell. So it's a very successful program, and the most sophisticated one I know of in the market for moving these around. This is just another diagram of how the Mercury hardware setup would look. The range of controllers that are supported. Sometimes you'll find that the customer still uses the old L&L 1000 or 2000 panels. Those are not supported because they were made obsolete in 2007. But we have a special deal with Mercury where we'll give them 50% off on the EP2500 or the EP1502, which replace those. So it makes it really, that means your integrator cost on them is about $500 or $600. So it's very affordable to change those. Most of the customers that we see do not have many of those 1000s and 2000s left. If they have 10 controller panels, they may only have 2 or 3 of the old ones. So it does not add a lot of cost to those customers to change them. And Mercury gives us a great deal because they want to get those old controllers out of the field because they don't support the meter. All right. So there's some other diagrams on how the multiplexers work, and this is a part number that gives you a comparison of the Mercury part number versus the Lenel part number. Okay, so it makes it a lot easier to figure out which parts you're dealing with if you use to the Lenel numbers. So again, the Lenel 1000, 2000, and of course the 500 are no longer supported and need to be updated to the EP line. And here's all the supported hardware. This is the capabilities of all the different hardware which you guys would already know. And here's the configuration of the node, the EP series node in our software. Here's all the part numbers and licensing. Now, when you replace the system, there's actually three components to replacing the system. And this works the same whether you're doing Honeywell or Lenel. So you have to make sure that they're using the EP series of controllers, otherwise those need to be updated. Then, for the existing controllers they have, there's a small license fee that Mercury charges us. And they do that because they want to make money on the upgrade too, I guess. So we have to know, and there's a data gathering sheet that we give you, a checklist on what to do. So then we'll add up the license fees that go with it. And then the third thing that we have to do is have the strategy for migrating the database. So we have to make sure the hardware is up to date. We have to look at the existing hardware license fees, and then we look at the data migration from the old systems to the new. And Thomas and I have both done many of these over the years, so we're very experienced with it, and we can help you with it. All you need to do is identify a customer with Mercury or Honeywell that wants to migrate, and we will help you put together a proposal and design the solution for them. So here's some more details on these boards. We won't go into these at this point in time. Like I said, we'll make this available to you. All right. So here's specifically upgrading the ProWatch. Okay. So this was to Patrick's question a few minutes ago. So here we have the S2 Enterprise controller. Here's a Honeywell PW6000. Right, so we connect directly to that. That's a software integration. So when you change the software, there's a utility, you point it at the Honeywell system, and it flashes the hardware, and all of a sudden it says, hey, I'm no longer Honeywell, I'm an S2 system. Pretty cool. Then, if they have the 5000 or the 3000, those aren't the same level of intelligence, and they don't have the same firmware in them. So we put a Mercury panel in the middle, and the Mercury panel talks to them and handles it. So we found that this is really not a problem. And again, we get these Mercury panels at a discounted price to help the customers out. So for the supported hardware, it's all the PWK 6000, the PW5K in and out hardware. There is, when it's connected to the 5Ks or the 3Ks, there's a chip change that's applied. So Mercury supplies us with these chips because for some reason they don't have built-in flash. These things must really be old. I don't know how old they were. You look at them, they look old. And then look, in the software, the Honeywell devices, they have their own images as well. Right? So any third-party hardware that we're connecting to, you always have the configuration the configuration screen available so that you can easily do the setup. So this is a big advancement over what other manufacturers would offer you. We also have what we call a bridge for Cassie Rusco systems. So Cassie Rusco actually has more systems in the marketplace than Linnell. It was a bigger business. They sort of lost, it was actually a better product, I think, looking at it objectively. And basically when UTC acquired General Electric that owned Cassie Rusco, they wanted to be in charge, and they closed down the product line. So the Cassie Rusco customers have no option but to completely replace everything with Linnell. And that's not really an improvement, it's just going from one second generation system to another. So if they're going to change it anyway, because they're forced to, then the best thing to do is to switch them to a system that's newer technology, and that's S2. So what we have to do, the Micro 5s are so proprietary that we have to unplug the boards that are in there, and we replace them with the Cassie bridge boards. Okay? Now, there's a little bit of a cost to those boards, but you get to leave the box in, the power supply, the cabling. We work with the Cassie Rusco F2F readers, which are very proprietary. It's very difficult to get that going. And so these devices are actually made by our partner Mercury, right? But you do not need any tools. You go in, you just simply pull them out, you put the new ones in, you fire up the S2 system, you convert the database from Cassie Rusco over to S2, which we already do, and then you set it all up the way that you normally would. So we've done this with some massive customers around the world. There's a medical device company called Medtronic. They have about 3,000 readers. They have a big factory in Penang, and a couple of years ago we switched them out completely worldwide. So we have a lot of experience with the Cassie Rusco as well as with the Linnell system replacements. And you have to keep in mind that these Linnell systems, these Windows-based systems are rapidly becoming obsolete, right? So Cassie Rusco was the first one that was completely taken off the market, the first big one. And, you're going to see something similar happen with Linnell in the not-too-distant future. So they're getting ready to sell that division off. It's pretty evident by the moves that UTC is making. And when they sell it, I think you'll see happen to them what happened to Cassie Rusco. They'll probably end up selling it to Johnson Controls. And then Johnson Controls will close it down and use Tyco products, right? So here's what it looks like when it's all changed over, right? So it'll have the new Cassie Bridge hardware. It'll talk directly to an S2 NetBox controller server. It'll be fully browser-based, and it will work with our apps. So there's a lot more details on the Micro 5 here that I won't bother you with for our conversation today. But again, just like with the Honeywell and the Mercury, you've got the devices with their own footprints in here. So it's very easy to work with these. Even if you've never worked with Cassie Rusco or Honeywell before, we make it easy to sort it out. So if you come across a customer using Cassie and using Honeywell, the only thing you have to remember is how to get a hold of Thomas. And we'll help walk you through the process to help make it a viable opportunity. Seriously. Don't feel like you have to figure it out all by yourself. We'll be there and we'll help do it. We're doing these big projects all the time.
That is the least of our concern, technically.
Yeah.
My only concern is where is the Honeywell customer list now?
Look, these Honeywell customers are all over the place. You just start knocking on doors and they pop up. There's a lot of them around Southeast Asia. So
Majority.
you need to find somebody who's worked for Honeywell than take them out for happy hour and a few Tiger beers. Seriously, right? Seriously.
We've done that before.
A lot of them are in the banking industry.
That's why we ban our guys from going for
Yeah.
happy hours with competitors.
Really, Patrick, Citibank is
Yeah.
using Honeywell.
Oh yeah, we know.
Yeah. And they are the best customer to go for because they have been moving around, their premises. And every year there's a lot of tenancy work. These guys are making great money out of it.
Citibank we tried before.
Yeah, so here's another thing, if you come across these legacy customers, and they're not headquartered in your area, and they're instead headquartered in China or Japan or Europe or the US, let us know. Get us connected into the opportunity. We have business development people all over the world, and we will go to them directly. And we'll meet with them at their headquarters, and we'll get approval for them to try us too. Because it's often better for them to try us too at a field site, say in Singapore or India or Indonesia, than to try to do their headquarters first, because those are the hardest to do. So often what happens is, we'll start doing field offices, and then we'll work upstream, right? We'll work up the ladder to get to the bigger buildings. So it's a really good strategy. We just need your help when you identify one of these companies. Talk to the local people and get the contacts that we need to talk to wherever else they are in the world. And we will go see them directly on your behalf and work together to move these customers over. You know, it used to be really hard to do these legacy product switches because all products were proprietary and nobody worked with other people's products. And there was no value, right? You just switch from, if you switch from Lenel to Cassie to Honeywell, they're all about the same, quite honestly, in the customer's eyes. But now, we have the technology to be able to take over these systems, and we have the superior capabilities in our own technology for the user experience. So there are real, and the support for these legacy products is getting back. So when you combine all that together, it's a uniquely opportune time now to be going after these customers. And a very big part of our business, probably 25 to 30% of our overall business globally, is taking over these old systems, right? The biggest jobs we have going around the world right now are all takeovers of Lenel, Honeywell, and Cassie Rusto. And we're talking jobs that are thousands of liters and thousands of cameras, right? So it's a fantastic market opportunity. So don't just think that you need to go after new systems. Take a hard look at these legacy systems. It takes a little bit of a mind set change, and you have to work on your skills on how to get into these people and pitch this. But once you do a few of these, you'll have a great new business, and you'll tear up your competition because they do not know how to do this. Right? So we have some integrators that's all they do is take over old systems. Okay, so we also integrate to wireless locks. This is one with Schlage, which is the Allegion company. They have a wireless bridge that uses a mercury panel to connect out to those. We're just doing a pretty big project for these in Australia, a couple hundred readers.
Mine Mac is actually not able to use it.
Yeah, it's mine.
Yeah, but they do a shift on these and they get down to like 858 or something and they still work.
So it can be,
Yeah,
Singapore is 900, 900 cannot. 800 now?
yeah,
because it's the same thing in Australia and they make a version that gets off the
You
900.
can shift it because
Because 900 is the GSM frequency.
Because over here we have 800, 900 is actually the portable wireless device, which is like wireless phone, walkie-talkies.
Yeah. Okay, so we also do the a range of locks from Avlor, and we're doing more.
Totally doesn't fit his persona. Totally doesn't
Okay.
fit his persona.
So here you have Wi-Fi locks, all right, and we're doing more of these with Avlor, more brands. but they work on power over Ethernet or Wi-Fi, so you don't have interference with the 900 megahertz. And then,
What about other wireless locks? Salto, have you guys?
we're not doing anything with Salto. You'll see that we have some things coming up with Apereo. There's also some new Bluetooth locks with
BLE
Legion.
locks.
Huh?
BLE locks. Bluetooth BLE. Bluetooth.
Yeah, Bluetooth is what we're working on with the NDE locks with Allegion. Yeah. So
So
those
those are-
will actually be available in a couple of months.
Those are the smart Bluetooth, the generation 2 smart Bluetooth locks. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Bluetooth locks are gaining some popularity.
If
We're
you,
getting those integrated.
do you guys at HQ level talk to any other Salto guys?
The Salto guys, we've had discussions with them, but there's nothing ongoing.
Okay.
So,
Because it would be easier for us because we sell a lot of Salto.
yeah.
That it would sort of complement when we go
Yeah,
in.
the problem with Salto is you know, we try to work with them, and then they go to our customers and go, oh, we have a complete security management system. You don't need to buy us too. And their software is terrible. It's not a very advanced system.
That is a reputation they have.
No, this is it, right? So if you're going to be a partner, be a partner. The nice thing about ASA and about Allegion, we don't make locks. They don't make security management systems, right? So
But Salto doesn't have a security measures.
no, but they claim they do. They go into customers and go, we can do that with our software. I know,
Yeah,
I know
the
they
software,
cannot.
the Pro Access software.
Or the Pro, but that is not a.
It's a management software, but
It's
it's,
just
it's
a
a
lock
limited.
management software. Right?
Yeah,
It's not
it's-
really. I mean, it's not full blown enterprise access.
No, they don't make a full-blown enterprise system. They just have this lock management thing, but their people oversell it. So, you know, we'd be happy to talk with them. We just need a good, you know, good business case for it, and they need to learn how to, you know, partner with us properly. All right, so this is just a quick look at how some of the integrated Wi-Fi works together. Been doing this with ASA for many years. It all works over a wireless access point. We also do data center systems. There's a data cabinet locking company called TZ that's from Australia that S2 is integrated with. This is sold through Annixter, so you can get this from the local Annixter office. And it works with the S2 NetBox through the elevator control functionality. Yep, TZ Praetorian. So it's quite a nice little system for.
So basically, they provide the lock for the.
Yeah, they have like this. It's not a mag lock, but it's like a ferromagnetic lock that works. And then you swipe a reader on it, and it will unlock one cabinet or two cabinets or however many you're allowed.
And everything is managed by the S2 side.
That's right.
How do the lock get connected to your system?
It's like you do with elevator control with a one-to-one connection.
Oh, so it's hardwired.
Yeah,
It's just pure I/O, or
yeah,
so it's still I/O.
yeah. It's like
How would you know if somebody who is the person that opened the rack?
oh, because you have a card reader, and it tells just like when you do lift control, right?
Oh,
You
okay,
present
okay,
the-
okay. Sorry, I got
Yeah.
it messed up. So the reader is still from S2,
Yeah,
but the lock set is from them.
that's right.
Okay.
Yep. But it's a nice system because the locks are quite small and it's all PoE. So there you have it. There's a card. It's hard to see in the image here, but that's a card reader.
So you flash
Yeah,
it one of this
yeah.
terminal.
Yep.
You decide after you flash, you decide which lock that you want to, which rack you want to open. Then you press a button. So you don't have a reader on every single rack.
Exactly
It's
right.
just at a terminal.
That's a really good point. You noticed is you only have a reader at the end of the rack here, right? And then it may unlock all the racks for you, but then you open one and all the rest are locked, right? If you have access to the entire rack there.
So they still do a fair bit of, a little bit of control over at that network switch thing over there.
Yeah.
But the credential is.
It's like
purely-
distributed control of the locks through their, whatever you call that, switch. We also support the DMP intrusion panel, and we have a generic alarm interface, and very nice little interface for the alarm management. And then there's a lot of third-party software integration that we do, all right? So the man with the fancy ringtone was asking before about the visitor integration. So we have Easy Lobby, which is an HID company. They've been integrated to us for about 10 years. Then we have iVisitor, which is web-based, Stopware, Jolly, many, many different kinds. And because our APIs are available freely, we don't even know all the ones that are integrated, because people can just integrate whenever they want. It's especially true for time and attendance. We integrate with a lot of the world's global brands of video management, particularly names you would know like Milestone and Avigilon. And so here's kind of a list of those that are supported. And we have our API, which is open and freely available. So you do not have to pay a license fee. You do not have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. You can download this off of our website. We'll give it to end users. We'll give it to third-party developers. A lot of our end users develop their own interfaces. We use Web Services XML. In 2016, that's how IT systems talk together. You can still do CSV. You can still do OCD. But Web Services XML is really the way it's done, because then you can also do it live in two-way. All right, and then we have this data management tool that's actually built into the product, and this lets you import a card database from an old system via CSV. So it's very easy to map that and to bring the information over. Then I mentioned we do all this visitor management. We integrate to all the major ERPs. We're integrated with Blackboard, which does management software for universities all around the world. It's a massive company. You've got Active Directory and LDAP capability, and lots more. So to finish up this particular section, this is two slides that show the advantages of S2 over traditional second-generation brands. So this is kind of a summary of all the advantages that we've been talking about this morning. So let's take a minute and go through that. First of all, we have the snap-together architecture, right, where you take all these different devices and you can snap them together into much bigger systems. Everything is fully browser-based, both in the security management system and in the video management system. You do not require any clients. That means there's no end-user client fees, right? There's also no operating system or database engine license fees. So this is a huge, huge savings over building a system with other brands, right? Here's another thing. The software in our small systems is identical to the software in our big systems, right? With most companies, they try to sell you a small, a medium, or a large system. Here's the problem with that. If you're Pfizer or if you're Uber, you need a system that works the same no matter what size the system is. And like if you go to Lenel and get a 32ES, it doesn't have all the features of a Pro or an ADV, right? So if you try to combine those systems together, they don't work together with the same functionality. In our systems, when you buy the very smallest net box, it has exactly the same software as an enterprise system from us. Same with the video. You never lose functionality. So that's a massive advantage we have over the traditional systems that try to do the small, medium, large packaging. All right. We also have the global system. We haven't talked much about that yet. We'll talk about that some more after lunch. That ties multiple systems together. And here's something else we have. I alluded to this earlier, but the S2 Forward program is if any of our devices go obsolete, and look, hardware, over a period of time, it goes obsolete, right? We have customers who've been using our products for 14 years. We've had 3 generations of operating system software, and we've had 3 generations of hardware for the nodes and the controllers. When any of those goes obsolete, we offer a program called S2 Forward. It basically lets them migrate from the obsolete piece of hardware to the new state-of-the-art hardware and renews their software upgrade and support plan for basically our cost. So it's hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars. And so there's always an easy way to migrate to the next level at S2. And this is what traditional manufacturers have failed to provide. One of the reasons we got the DBS account is they had a Honeywell system, and Windows 2000 was being end-of-lifed a few years ago, and Honeywell came back and said it's going to cost $400,000 US to upgrade to new hardware and new Windows and new SQL. And they said that's ridiculous, and it was. We were able to give them new S2 for much less money. So we always have these legacy refresh paths for customers that have the old systems. And everything we sell is 21st technology core, 21st century technology core. This is a big difference, right? If you go to AMAG or Linnell or Secure or one of these, it's all 1990s technology core. Their code base is from Windows NT 4.0, which was 1996, if you're old enough to remember. So you look at Linnell On Guard today, or you look at Secure OnePlus today, or you look at AMAG Symmetry, there's code in there that's over 20 years old, which is amazing, right? These are old products. Nobody would use a smartphone, well, you couldn't even get a smartphone 20 years ago. But you would not use a cell phone from 20 years ago, right? So, yeah, you know, the thing is as big as a shoebox. So, but people use this old technology, which is ridiculous. Then we're going to show you more about these other features. The Mobile Security Officer, none of them have that. The widget desktop we reviewed, you know, we're still the only ones with that. Thomas is going to show you some of the video and forensic desktop and all of that sort of thing. As I mentioned, the S2 Network Node VR with access control and IP video in a single box. That's a unique product. The as-built reports that we showed, right, with the pictures of the different devices, that's unique in the product. The built-in card format decoder, we put that in 10 years ago and we're still the only company that has it. And you know why that is? The other manufacturers just don't care about integrators, because that's a tool for integrators, right? It's crazy. And here's another thing. You have direct access to executive management at the company, right? So if you need something and it's a big issue, everybody gets my cell phone number, you can always call me. If you don't want to talk to me, I'll give you the cell phone for the CEO, and you can talk to him. And, you know, any of us is happy to talk to you. If you call us too, everyone can help you. They may not be the one with the answer to your problem, but everyone's empowered to help you because we're a service organization, right? So if you need something, if you need help, if something's not working and you need to get it sorted out, we'll do that for you because we focus on the platform and the service. We're not selling cameras, we're not selling, you know, readers, we're not selling cabling and all that stuff. We're just selling and servicing that platform. And I think that's just as important as the technology that we provide, right? Because if you don't have good service and you don't have the ability to help your partners and your customers when they need it, then it's much harder to do business these days. So I think a premium provider like ASG can certainly understand. So are there any questions up to this point? This concludes the first segment of our presentation today. Anyone in the remote offices, did any of you have any questions? You can either ask them or write them on the chat log. I'd be happy to take a moment and answer those now. And let's see, Patrick, you wanted to take a break when?
12, okay.
Yeah. Well, this might be a good place to stop.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think here in Singapore, it's getting close to lunchtime, right? So
Yeah.
people can take a break. What time would you like to reconvene?
Let's do it at 1:30.
1:30. Okay.
1:30.
So we'll take a break. Everybody can grab lunch, catch up on your email, answer your phone messages, and we'll start at 1:30 Singapore time. I'm going to leave the webinar connected, so you do not have to disconnect.